Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 31st of May and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis video. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper. We'll take all the articles along with the background and the way forward. And I would also like to tell you that you can download the explainer notes of this session from our Telegram channel. Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Now, first of all, let's see overview of newspaper to understand that which articles are important, and this is the overview that you can download from our Telegram channel. Okay, so here we have the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper, and the first article that we have here is that Amit Shah appeals for 15-day peace in Manipur. So we have seen from last 1 month that this Manipur crisis is going on, which started when the Manipur High Court decided, when Manipur High Court gave an order that Methi people, Methis in the Manipur need to be given the scheduled tribe status. Now the other tribal people, Kuki, Zomis, they did not like this particular idea because they believe that Methis are already politically and economically, demographically dominant. Okay, I have told you this many number of times. Okay, so because of that, the clash became between the communities have started, and this violence is still going on. So there is a need of dialogue. Okay, then guys, after that, moving on, wrestlers defer plan to immerse medals. So this is the ongoing issue going on with respect to the sexual harassment of the wrestlers. Okay, then we have these advertisements, city section, the regional crime related issues, law and order issues, etc. have been there. No need to go too much in that particular detail. Okay, then we have these tenders, advertisements, etc. Again, regional political articles. Nothing much important is there, guys, in this particular direction, so we'll keep on moving. However, in regional section there is this one particular article, a police officer who fought for gender equality. So with respect to the ethics GS paper number 4 case study, we will take this particular article. Then further moving on, we reach to editorial section, and on editorial section here, the short history of a large note. Now this article, guys, is talking about the recent order of the government, where government has decided to withdraw the 2000 rupee note from the circulation, though government says that it will continue to be the legal tender for the time being. Now this article is talking about that particular history, that when the demonetization happened, the history of the 2000 rupee note. Okay, all that particular thing. Now guys, understand this particular thing. You are not required to do PhD of this particular thing, that on which date we all know that with the demonetization of 2016, 2000 rupee note got introduced. Okay, so that particular thing is there. Please don't go too much in this particular article. Much important substance for exam is not there. Then unboxing the export turnaround of India's toy story. Now this is a good article, we'll take it. Then here side, IRDAI's plan to bring reforms in insurance sector. This is also a good article, we'll take this also. Then below article is talking about the CSK's win over Titans. Fine, Chennai Super Kings victory in the IPL. Okay, now guys, if you have the interest in the IPL etc., you can read it, but for exam, important substance is not there in this article. I will not advise you to go in detail. Using Buddhism as a tool of soft power. We'll see this particular article, that how India and China both are contesting Buddhism, and there is a very beautiful line that Nepal is going to become the Buddhist Disneyland. Okay, so we'll take that. Rethinking alliances and Andhra, political article, not important. Clean energy fund rise, but mostly in China, Europe. Okay, so basically guys, here we see that the global energy investment in clean energy, fossil fuels. Okay, so clean energy, we see fossil fuels, the investments that are going on. So in clean energy, the investments are rising. Okay, then we see this particular thing, that there is a increase in the annual clean energy investments, and here we see that a very big increase has come into the China. On number 1 we have China, number 2 European Union, 3 US, and Japan. India is here, is on 1 2 3 4 5 number is on India is on. Okay, this is guys all these things. Then after that, the different modules in the clean energy, how much investment has come here, low emission fuels, battery storage, electric vehicles, that thing is given. Then coming to text and context page. So in text and context page, the article that we have here is the shift in US's approach to China. So from decoupling to de-risking. What is decoupling? What is de-risking? Fine. And all these things we are going to discuss here in this particular article. Then moving on after that, On the next page, how are Indian languages faring in the age of chat GPT? Okay, guys, see, this is a cache article. So cache article basically talks about the programming, all such kind of things. So basically the article is talking about that, see, when we talk about the chat GPT, it is an generative artificial intelligence tool, which is simply a chatbot which can carry conversation, can answer your queries, can do many number of things. So it generates the text in English, but what about generating text in Hindi? What about generating text in other regional languages? Okay, so basically these particular kind of things, they find that how many tokens got generated, how many characters got generated when a prompt was given in the regional languages. Okay, so how it breaks, there is a star, can be tokenized as there is a star. Guys, for your examination general studies point of view, the article is not containing substance. If you are pursuing computer sciences technical domain, good, but for UPSC the article is not important. Fine, I will not advise you. Then further moving on, clashes in Manipur, nothing to do with counterinsurgency. Okay, and then there is a lot of political statements, etc., that have been there. No need to go too much in detail here. Here there is one issue, government drops plan to host SCO summit. So we'll see this particular article. Okay, migration agents letting students down, Australian envoy. Okay, so we see this particular thing that there are certain states, particularly guys, if we talk about India, 6 Indian states, Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, a large number of students from here, they migrate to Australia, but migration agents often they fill false information, they take the help of these migration agents, and because of that their applications are getting rejected. All these things, much things are not there, then these tender, etc., there are there. Okay, 35 lakh students of class 10th failed or dropped out in 21-22. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that as we talk about this particular article, it has given the data with respect to the Ministry of Education that 35 lakh students in class 10th, either they failed or they dropped out. Okay, this number has been given. Okay, then further moving on, fresh excavation reveals pre-modern era. We'll see this particular article. Khalistan reference removed from class 12th NCERT textbook. Okay, so earlier there were the traces of the Mughal, the parts of the Mughal history were removed. Now the Khalistan reference has been removed. Okay, then moving on guys, coming to the world page. So in world page, drones hit Moscow buildings. Fine, so this Russia-Ukraine war, every day 1 or 2 articles 100% comes here. No need to follow every day-to-day detail here. China declined meeting with Lloyd Austin. Okay, so basically guys, here NATO soldiers on guard on Kosovo serve town after clashes. We see in this international page largely the evolutionary issues, the statements of the political leaders, clashes, conflicts, these things are there. Not important for the examination guys, as we know that in international, basically the major developments, fine, with respect to the foreign policy or with respect to some international development, and particularly in those matters where Indian interest will be impacted, is important. Okay, after that guys, moving on, here in business page, here we have one article, that is hardening interest rate, geopolitical risk impacting FDI inflows. Okay, we'll see this particular article. Here a Chinese mission with first civilian reaches space. Okay, so basically guys, we are also planning to make the human flight in the space, that is Gaganyaan. So Gaganyaan, first human flight in the space by India, will be made by 2024, and before that there will be the demonstrator missions that will also be taken up. Just 2-3 days back, I think we have discussed that article also that came. Now here we see that the China has sent the 3 astronauts to its Tiangong space station. Okay, now guys, this Tiangong space station that the China is maintaining. Okay, so basically the China now here we see this particular thing, that first of all the China is sending the humans into the space station, and then the China is also planning to send humans to the moon by 2030. So it is a precursor to China's moon mission that they are going to take by 2030. And guys, today if we talk about this particular thing, that China is trying to catch up with the USA in the space exploration. Okay, and has invested billions of dollars, fine, in the space programs, okay, to catch up with the US and Russia. Then we'll take this particular article, and then guys, after so much of the scrolling, there is this one science page also. I don't know why the Hindu has given it in the last. Maybe they want to hide it from the UPSC aspirants. Testing breakthrough challenges world's worst wildlife disease. We'll take this article also. Okay, and now there is no page left after this. So this is all about the overview of newspaper, and now let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in detail. Okay, now discussing the relevant articles. Just a minute. Fine. So this is, guys, the newspaper for today. Every class we take a GS quotation, and the quotation we try to use it in our answers to complement them. Today we'll take the quotation from Holbrook Jackson. So Holbrook Jackson says, fear of corrupting the minds of the younger generation is the loftiest form of cowardice. Now guys, understand that when we talk about the young generation, we protect them by certain ideas which are considered as adversarial by the society. Now what idea is adversarial, what idea is negative, that is always a subjective kind of thing, and a young mind has a capacity to decide for himself or herself that what is to be liked, what is not to be liked. So it is the duty of the society to expose all the different types of ideas to the young generations and let them decide that what is important, what is not important. This is the way that actually the change will come. Now what happens, many number of times certain ideas are not shown to the younger generations. Many number of times we see that there are certain books that are banned, certain references from the books that are removed, so that the young generations cannot get exposed to them. Now this concern is actually the biggest form of cowardice that is there. Fine, we need to expose them with all the diverse ideas that are there and let them decide what future course the society is going to take. So this idea we can use with respect to the GS paper number 2, GS paper number 4, ethics, and even in essay. This particular idea can be used. Okay, so now taking up the first article for today. Okay, so first of all, this particular article, the shift in the USA's approach to China, we have picked up this article from the text and context section, and this particular article we are going to see with respect to the GS paper number 2, international affairs. Okay, GS paper number 2, international affairs. Now first of all, guys, let me give you some of the basic background information, and then we will take this particular article. Okay, so guys, when we talk about the China, we you already might be knowing this particular thing, that the China has a closed state setup till the 1978. In 1978, particularly because of the policies of the Deng Xiaoping, China came out with their open door policy. Open door policy was a China's LPG reform. As we had LPG in 1991, China's LPG was in 1978 open door policy. And there they started to embrace capitalism, type of capitalism. They started to invite FDI. And this was also the time when the China-USA relationship started to grow. Okay, and because of the USA's assistance, China's economy grew manyfold. China became the factory for the USA and the factory for the world. Now this particular growth of China continued till 1990, and around 1990 the world discovered that China has actually grown a lot. Okay, economic power of China is multiplying every year. Now during this particular time, what happened, China again changed the narrative, and China says that, see, we are rising, but our rise is peaceful rise. We are harmless. It is peaceful rise, will not impact anyone. Basically what the China's strategy was rise and bide your time. Okay, consolidate your power, rise and bide your time, hide your capabilities and bide your time. Okay, hide your capabilities and bide your time. Now this particular thing continued, and what happened in around 2012-13, we see that the Xi Jinping arrived on the center stage. And with the coming of the Xi Jinping, within few years, what happened, the Xi Jinping got driven by the arrival factor. He got driven by the arrival factor. He said that we have risen enough economically, we have risen enough. Now it is the challenge. Now it is a time to become the superpower. We have become economic power. Let's become the superpower. Let's become the diplomatic power. Let's become the political power. And right now, whose hegemony is established? It is the USA's hegemony that is established. Okay, and the China is trying to challenge the USA's hegemony, wants to become the next superpower. And USA came to know about these intentions of the China, and it was during the time of the Donald Trump. So when the Donald Trump was president around 2018, Donald Trump discovered, basically Donald Trump made this particular thing visible, that the US also now concerns China's rise. And what happened in 2018? In 2018, there was the policy of decoupling that got started. Now, first of all, what is the decoupling? So basically, guys, the decoupling basically is that the economy of USA, economy of China had got too much enmeshed with each other. Okay, USA's dependence is a lot there on the China on many things, for example for semiconductors, for electronic modules, okay, for pharmaceuticals and many other chemicals, etc. The USA's dependence is there on the China. Now the USA want to untangle their economy from China. USA want to untangle their economy from China. That is the decoupling, that is detach from China. Okay, now this decoupling is getting changed into de-risking. The de-risking. Let's understand that what this de-risking is all about and all these particular things. So basically, guys, we have already seen that during the Trump era, this particular decoupling got started. And right now what has happened, this new word de-risking, USA has proposed that now we are moving to de-risking. Even the European Union had said that we are also moving to de-risking. And even in this G7 summit that was recently held in Japan in Hiroshima, there also all the G7 countries had said that we are also moving to the de-risking. So everybody is talking about this de-risking. So basically, guys, what the de-risking is, de-risking means to have resilient, effective supply chains in other countries, in diversified countries, so that no one country uses their that particular thing as a weapon. Now, guys, let's understand this particular thing. Okay. Basically, guys, in 2018, I told you that the Donald Trump, we have seen here that the Donald Trump in 2018 discovered that the US economy has become too much dependent on the China. At that point of a time, there was the trade war that got started between the US and China. What is this trade war? USA started to impose a lot of tariffs on the Chinese imports that were coming in the USA. China also did the same thing. Okay, and at the same time, guys, USA has also banned certain Chinese companies from selling their products in USA, but USA's dependence was always very much high on even those particular products. Now this realization came that, see, we are importing everything from China. Semiconductors we are importing from China, okay, pharmaceuticals we are importing from China, chemicals are importing from China. Now, guys, understand this thing, that when we talk about the pharmaceuticals, basically there is a core salt, or there is a component which is used into the pharmaceuticals, that is the active pharmaceutical ingredient, API. This is the basic salt used in most of the drugs, medicines. China has a lot monopoly over the API. If China will stop exporting that, then the country's pharmaceutical manufacturing will completely be shut down. Okay, that will be completely shut down. So basically, China also knows this thing, and China can use this thing as a deliberate thing. They deliberately will not supply very core critical components which are needed by every country, and it is the trade weaponization. It is a trade weaponization, using trade as a weapon against another country. This is a trade weaponization. Now the USA or any other country doesn't want that some country has this trade weapon. So what they are doing, they are moving to de-risking. That is, they will import, their import dependence will not be on one country, but it will be on a group of countries. So the USA wants to diversify their supply chains from China to countries, for example, India, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, multiple countries. They want to scatter their supply chains. So this is something that is happening. So decoupling was reversal of the four old enmeshment of the US and China's economy, and de-risking is further diversifying your supply chains to the different countries. Now, the example of the de-risking and decoupling we see, the USA has come out with this Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, PGII. Then there is the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, IPEF, in which the USA is building partnerships, building collaborations with the countries of the Indo-Pacific, in which India plays a very important role. Okay, now why this particular de-risking and decoupling have become more and more important now? Basically, there is a geopolitical conflicts that has started between India and China, China and USA. What are the geopolitical conflicts? First of all, the conflict on Taiwan. First of all, there is the conflict of Taiwan. So when the US speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, what happened? China sent their aircrafts into the Taiwanese airspace to protest that why you are talking with the USA. Okay, now when we talk about the Taiwan is always a very sensitive issue for China, because China feels Taiwan is not a sovereign country. Taiwan is an intrinsic part of China, and one day China will absorb Taiwan within its own fold. For that, even if they have to use force, they will do that particular thing. So this policy of China is called as the One China principle, and China wants that no country should have diplomatic relation with the Taiwan, and if they are having diplomatic relation with the Taiwan, it means they are challenging the China. So USA talking with Taiwan means that the USA is challenging the China, and China doesn't likes it. Then after this particular thing, there was this balloon episode that happened. One of a Chinese balloon entered the American airspace, and the USA said that it is a spy balloon. China says it is just a meteorological weather balloon. Fine, USA shot down that particular balloon. Fine, then the problem that started. After that, guys, basically now the third term. Okay, basically third term of the Xi Jinping had started. More than one decade has happened, and in the second decade the Xi Jinping had entered his third term, and during the Xi Jinping, China has been more and more aggressive. Okay, so this is the issue that is going on. After that, guys, this Ukraine war is going on, and in Ukraine war, the China is supporting Russia, and Russia today has become the number one enemy of the West, and China supporting Russia, again the rivalries between these confrontation between two countries increases. Okay, then guys, another insecurity that USA is having. Now see this thing, China already became an economic power, we know this thing. Now the China wants to become a political power, and for that particular thing, China needs to prove their diplomacy. Now understand this thing. First of all, what happened when the Xi Jinping's the third tenure recently got started? Xi Jinping first visited to the Russia and proposed a peace plan. If Russia would have accepted that peace plan, it would have mean that it is China who brought the Russia-Ukraine war to a halt. Okay, then that thing was not successful. But what happened recently, the China has negotiated the peace deal between the Saudi Arabia and Iran. Diplomatic relations have now got kick-started. These two countries had a huge rivalry, and this is now being called as the victory of the China. Okay, so basically China's diplomatic victories. Okay, now earlier USA was the country who used to mediate between the different countries, and it was a diplomatic power, but now that space is being taken up by China. USA feels insecure by this thing. Okay, USA has vulnerabilities that, okay, then USA will become irrelevant. Okay, and now one more issue is there, guys, that see, European Union is basically as Ukraine has been invaded by the Russia, European Union are threatened now by the Russia, that tomorrow Russia might invade the Eastern European countries, then it will move gradually, and China is also supporting. So they want to condemn Russia, they want to condemn China, and just decoupling is now not appeasing them. They want more, and here the USA has also talked about the de-risking, which will appease these particular countries. Now, guys, in this particular factor, the countries such as India will obviously be benefited. Why India will be benefited? Because of the fact that as the industries from China will move to the other countries, fine, where they will go, India is the next hub where they will be located. So India will benefit. But guys, one more point from my side I'm adding here is that India also need to be ready for that. Ease of doing business need to be focused upon for that particular thing. FDI basically for that particular thing. Many other kind of an internal economic reforms should also be taken up. Okay, so this is something guys that is happening. One more issue is going on right now guys, is that as this Russia-Ukraine conflict is going on, and as the consolidation of the European alliance is happening, for the timing USA might be occupied more on the Europe, and the Indo-Pacific, which got a lot of attention in the past 4 or 5 years, that particular thing might go little bit down. Okay, but we need to see, till now the USA has well balanced both the Indo-Pacific and Europe. Fine. Okay, so guys, this is all about this particular article, and here I have tried to give a lot of inputs apart from this particular article also, which will help, I hope it will help you in consolidating this entire angle that is going on, and it is a very big emerging angle. Okay, and guys, this is actually a very important concern. And now we'll move to the next article. Okay, so the article is testing breakthrough challenges, world's worst wildlife disease. Now this particular article guys, we have taken from the hidden page of the Hindu, that is the science page. Now this article will see for the prelims examination as well as for the GS paper number 3 science and tech, GS paper number 3 science and tech, this article will be taken up. Now basically let's discuss what this particular article is talking about. So guys, in the last 3 years one word became very much popular, that is pandemic. Okay, so pandemic, any disease which is infecting a lot of countries or almost all the countries at the same time, it is a pandemic. Now pandemics are those diseases which we give the title of pandemic to any disease which is impacting human. For example, COVID-19 disease impacting all the world at the same time became the pandemic. But there is also one more word that you might not have heard, that is panzootic. What is panzootic? Panzootic is the pandemic within the animals. So there are certain diseases which are impacting animals and are wiping off the entire species of the animals. Those particular pandemic of the animal, it is called as the panzootic. Keep it in your mind. Such kind of keywords can also be asked in the prelims examination. Fine. Now, so basically from the last 40 years guys, understand this thing, from the last 40 years there is a fungal disease that is wiping off the species of the frogs, and up till now find 90 species of the frogs. Now 90 is huge. 90 species of the frogs have been wiped out by this particular fungal disease. Okay, and the world yet doesn't knows about it. Now first of all, what is this particular fungal disease? This fungal disease is caused by the amphibian chytrid fungus. Amphibian chytrid fungus, this is the short name, ghar ka naam. The official name of this chytrid fungus is chytridomycosis. So chytridomycosis, it is a fungal disease that infects the frogs, and once it infects the frogs, it spreads in all of the frogs of that particular species, and over a period of time almost all the frogs die. There is a very high mortality. Now first of all, let's understand that how this particular fungal disease infects the frogs. So basically guys, the frogs will be, their skin will be infected, their skin will be infected. This fungal disease will enter into the skin, will reproduce. Then what will happen? The skin will break out. Okay, the skin will break out, and over a time it will damage the skin's ability to balance the water and the salt level. Now guys, you know that the frog being amphibian, they live in the water, they live in the land also. Now when they are living in the water, particularly into the salty water, fine, salt's level should not increase beyond a level in their body. So therefore their skin works as a filtration layer. They balance the salt and water. But as they infect the skin is not able to balance that balance of salt and water. So therefore the frogs, they die. And as we talk about this particular disease, so guys understand, it has an extreme high rate of mortality, and because of that it is called as the deadliest animal disease known till date. Till date, this is the deadliest disease that is there. Okay, and I told you it has wiped out the 90 species of the frogs, and now it has infected the frogs in Asia, Australia, even in Americas. So we see this thing that there is a global travel and trade of the amphibians which have led to spreading of this particular disease even to Australia, America, all of these countries. Now when we talk about the Australian and American frogs, they have not evolved with this particular fungus, okay, and they did not had immunity, so there also there is huge mortality that is there. Now there is one particular kind of test also that has been perfected to track and to see whether the frogs are infected with this particular disease or not. Now see, for COVID-19 we had RT-PCR, and for this particular disease there is a qPCR. qPCR is a test. It is called as the quantitative polymerase chain reaction. In this again also the swab from the frog's skin is taken and the frog is tested whether it is positive or not. Now though this particular disease was there, which started from Asia, and now it has spread to America and Australia, and in Australia, if I tell you, 7 species already have been wiped out. But some of the species which did not evolve with the pathogen, they are not becoming sick. They have a kind of a natural immunity that the scientists are now trying to find that how this immunity can be given so that the frog species can be saved. Okay, and also the 2 types of qPCR also they are perfecting. So this is all guys about that. Now the researches that are going on, they are working on this research, that not important, but this phenomena, this concept is also very much important. Now moving to the next article. Universal cover. Now this particular article guys will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, sectors of Indian economy, and within the sectors of Indian economy the insurance sector will take this particular article. Now first of all guys, if you if you can recall, just I think 4 or 5 days back we have taken, not even 4 or 5 days, I think 2-3 days back we have talked about this particular development, that is the Insurance Regulatory Development Authority. It has announced Information Regulatory Development Authority, it has announced that they want to bring the insurance sector reforms. Now guys, understand this thing that when we talk about the insurance is not just an economic product, it is a social product. Insurance is a social product. Why? Because when the families don't have insurance, particularly when they don't have accidental insurance, when they don't have health insurance or life insurance, many number of times they face a kind of a social crisis. Let me explain you how. Suppose there was this particular person, Mr. X, okay, and Mr. X was the only breadwinner for the family, and Mr. X has faced, let's say, a kind of an accidental and is now not able to work. Fine. Okay, now is now not able to work. Moreover, at the same time, a lot of money is also to be spent on the medical care of the Mr. A. A lot of money has to be spent on to the medical care also. Now understand this particular thing, that this particular family will go into the financial crisis and they might descend into the poverty. Last year there was also a report which said that a large section of India is just one medical bill away from falling into the poverty, below poverty line. At the same time, life cover is very much important if this breadwinner dies. Okay, so insurance penetration happens to be very important. If insurance penetration is not there, it drives the social destitution. Okay, it drives the social crisis. Now in India guys, insurance penetration is still not very much deep. If I give you the number that how much insurance penetration is there in India, so insurance penetration was around 2.7% in 2001-2002. It has increased to 4.2% in 21-22. Okay, in between it went to 5.2% also, but now it is 4.2%. okay, so it means that 4.2%, it is very very low. It is very very low. Majority of section of India doesn't have any insurance cover. Okay, moreover, if they are having the insurance cover guys, they are not having a comprehensive insurance cover covering life, health, accidental cover, property damage, they don't have all types of insurance. Even if you will have insurance, you will have maximum the insurance of your car or if insurance of your bike. So IRDA had announced a new blueprint to enhance the coverage of insurance, and IRDA, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority, has an aim to provide insurance to everyone by 2047. And in this particular thing, guys, they have come out with the 3-pillar reforms. I hope my 3 fingers are visible. 3-pillar reforms. Now what are these 3-pillared reforms? Let's discuss them one by one. Okay, number 1, they have come out with the Bima Vistar. What is Bima Vistar? The Bima Vistar is a bundled insurance. Now, let me give you an example. Today, suppose I have a bike. I will have a separate insurance for my bike. I will have a separate insurance for my life cover. Separate insurance will be there for the health cover. Separate insurance will be there for, let's say, if I have a factory also. 4 or 5 insurance. Every insurance will have a different premium. Every insurance will have a different insurance provider. Every insurance will have a different type of coverage. A lot of hassle. But we will replace this particular thing with a common comprehensive single insurance which will provide life cover also, accidental cover also, health cover also, damage of basically protection of your property against the damage. All these things will be provided in a single insurance product, that is the Bima Vistar. Okay, so medical emergency, accident, theft, death, all the protections will be provided by the single insurance. 1, Bima Vistar, keep it in your mind. Second, guys, is the Bima Vahaks. Bima Vahak. Now, what are these Bima Vahak? So, Bima Vahak will be the group of women which will be mobilized at the gram rural level, which will mobilize at the block level. These women will go to the rural households, will meet the women head of the family, and will convince them that why insurance is important, why insurance is necessary. So they will convince them. So basically it will be a gram sabha level initiative to educate every household female head that how the insurance can come handy during the time of the distress, during the time of the crisis. And then the third pillar will be Bima Sugam. Third pillar will be Bima Sugam. Now understand this thing, large number of people are not taking the insurance because they had bad experience while dealing with the insurance. Either they had bad experience or their some relative friends have a bad experience that the claims are not settled in time. If your claim is of 1 lakh rupees, the claim which will be entertained will be 20,000, 50,000, 60,000. They don't give the complete payments. This is one issue. So in order to resolve this particular thing, there will be a common platform, Bima Sugam. In this Bima Sugam, all the insurance providers will come at a common stage. Now guys, for example, let's say ICICI, Cholamandalam, Fine General Insurance, Fine United, all of these companies are providing the insurance. So they will come on a common platform. There will be a common website where you can go, you can raise your insurance claim, and on that common platform your insurance claim will be settled within the 6 to 8 hours of the time. Now understand this thing, there is a problem that comes particularly into the case of the death insurance. Now when a family has lost a loved one, okay, the family is not in a condition that they can run behind the insurance companies that give us the money, because the family is emotionally broken down at that point of a time. So how these particular things will happen? So basically now, see, on one hand there is Bima Sugam, on another hand all the different state governments have now virtually, most of the states, they have digitized the death certificate process. So digital death certificate will automatically be pulled by this Bima Sugam after you give the consent, and the money will be credited in your bank account. So this Bima Sugam will be a common platform where the insurance players, distributors, customers can come together, and it will be the one-stop solution for facilitating all the claims of the insurance. Okay, this is something. Then guys, next thing is that but now the IRDA has proposed this particular thing, but for that particular thing, guys, the legislative changes are also to be made. Okay, laws also to be amended. Now see, there is a lot of entry barriers. There is a lot of entry barrier. Now see, what you mean by the entry barrier? Okay, take the example of YouTube. There is no entry barrier on YouTube. Any person can come on YouTube and can become an educator, can become an influencer, officer can become an entertainer. Okay, though those things most of the time don't need anything, but to teach, to educate, okay, you need to have certain credentials. But on YouTube we don't have any entry barrier. Okay, but if you guys talk about to go and to teach in a established, well reputed coaching institute, you need to have certain credentials that you have to prove. So in well established reputed coaching institutions there are the entry barrier, but on YouTube there is no entry barrier, anybody can come and can teach. So for insurance sector there are a lot of entry barriers, lot of conditions that have to be fulfilled. Because of that particular thing, a lot of players are not able to come into the insurance sector. So by the law we need to remove the legislative barriers, we need to ease the capital norms, so that more startups come in this particular insurance sector and come out with a different kind of programs. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that there was this proposal that was given by the IRDI, that the new generations, if you give them along with the health insurance a yoga or a gym membership, they will be more attracted towards that thing. So for such kind of a things we need to bring new startups, and for that thing by the law we need to remove the legislative barriers, capital requirements and all those kind of things. And this is the only way by which the insurance penetration, which is very low, we can increase. Then the next guys is that in India when we see there is a lot of poor financial literacy levels. Okay, we need to break that poor literacy level, and for that particular thing IRDI has already said Bima Vahaks will be deployed. Moreover, state government basically state government level committees, district level committees will also be created for that, for raising the awareness. That is a very good thing. But guys, at the same time certain other reforms are also very much needed, and this is a very important and a very good point. What other type of reforms are needed? Now understand this thing, there are 18% GST that is paid onto the insurance premium, and by that insurance premium becomes expensive. Now government's logic is that if you can afford the insurance, you can also afford the GST. But understand this thing, government needs to change their thinking. They should not see insurance as an economic product, rather the insurance should be seen as a product of social justice. Okay, social product, and therefore this 18% GST is to be removed to 5%, or it needs to be waived off. Okay, this is something that is there. Then leadership in the IRDI is also very much critical. Now guys, what actually happened for 9 months there was not the chairperson in IRDI. Okay, so now the chairperson which have proposed these good reforms, now the chairperson should be given a continuity and a continuous leadership should be there. Fine. So this is all guys about this particular article. I hope that you have understood it, and I hope that you have got all the aspects with respect to it. Okay, Mohammad Rehan says 26th May. So 26th May we have discussed this particular first time when the insurance reforms were brought out. Okay, now moving on. Okay, so this particular article, a police officer who fought for gender equality. Now this article we will see as an case study, as an example for our GS paper number 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude. Now GS paper number 4, you guys, you know already that there is a very big role of quoting the examples of the administrative officers, and even your syllabus mentions the role and the examples of the administrative officers. So today we are going to take the example of Miss N.A. Vinaya. Okay, now just a minute. Yes, fine. So N.A. Vinaya. So N.A. Vinaya has been important, has been instrumental in bringing a lot of gender reforms in the police, particularly in the Kerala. Let us discuss about that, what her efforts have been. So basically, first of all guys, when we talk about the police happens to be a state subject, and in that capacity state government have the power to issue directions with respect to the uniform of the police, and many other procedural aspects of the state police can be issued by the state government. For example, if you'll go into the West Bengal, you'll find that the police wear the white colored uniform there. Other places there are the khaki color uniform. So when we talk about the Kerala, so till 2002 khaki sari was the uniform for the women police officers, but N.A. Vinaya refused to wear the khaki sari. She said that wearing a khaki sari is a difficult thing. Fine. See, when you are in the police, you have to catch the criminals. You have to do a lot of hard work, and often wearing the sari becomes a difficult, and also it becomes embarrassing while on the duty. So she said that the women should be allowed to wear the pants and a tucked in shirt. Okay, this was her demand. Fine, that the women should be allowed to wear the trousers and the tucked in shirts. Now in 2002, the Director General of Police issued a circular and allowed the women to wear the shirts, but they were not allowed to tuck the shirts inside. Okay, now that is also, again, she fought, and then what happened, she challenged this particular circular in the court and said that not allowing the women to wear the trousers and the tucked in shirts, okay, tucked in shirt is that you tuck in your trousers, so not allowing that, it is discriminatory, goes against Article 14, 15. It is anti-constitutional. Okay, and every person has a right to disobey with anything which is anti-constitutional. Okay, any person has a right to disobey anything which is anti-constitutional. Now this is a very good point. Now guys, see here, this also becomes an example for one important theme in our ethics paper. See, in ethics paper we always see that you have to follow your duty being an officer. Whatever the duty says, you have to follow. But what if the duty is unconstitutional? It is not going with the spirit of the constitution. Can you challenge it? So we can give the example that N.A. Vinaya challenged that thing in the court, and the court also entertained her viewpoint, and the police force was forced that they have to adopt the gender neutral uniform, and in 2014 gender neutral uniform was adopted by the police. So this was a very important aspects in breaking the gender stereotypes that has been there. Then she has also propagated for other reforms also. For example, in 2002, till that time, women were not allowed to take part into the march past at the state police meet. So in the state police meet, police officers, they do the march. So in the march past, women were not allowed. She questioned that why women are not allowed into the march past. And then 3 of the women officers were allowed, but they were not given any points for that particular thing. She protested on that particular thing, and again that particular thing was entertained. In between, she also has been suspended. She also have been even dismissed from the police force, but because of the public pressure, she was again reinstated into the police force. Is it clear? So basically guys, the High Court in 2001, because of the N.A. Vinaya's initiative, all the departments were directed to make the application forms also gender neutral. Now, how the application forms are not gender neutral? They in the form will ask your father name, or if you are a woman, they will ask your husband's name. Why the mother's name or why the wife's name why it is not given as an option? Okay, so this is something. She also formed wings, that is the women's integration and growth through sports. Fine, so that the older women, they get access to the fitness and games. Okay, so this is all guys about it. Okay, फाइन, सो दैट इज़ ऑल अबाउट इट. एंड नाउ मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट आर्टिकल. सर आपका कोई एथिक्स ऑनलाइन कोर्स अवेलेबल है? ओके मुकुल, इफ इट विल कम आई विल डेफिनेटली टेल यू. सर वेयर इज़ योर स्मार्ट बोर्ड? ओके, सो वेयर इज़ माई स्मार्ट बोर्ड? Okay, so guys, you are not supporting the initiative, so I have to sell that smart board. Okay, fine, that is the harsh reality. Okay, no, jokes apart, actually guys, right now I am in Bhubaneswar, not in Delhi, so for few days I will not be able to use the smart board because my studio, it is in my home. So right now I'm traveling, so it's not able to use that smart board. Fine. Okay, moving on. Fresh excavation reveal pre-Mauryan era signs in Delhi's Purana Kila site. Now, we'll see this particular article with respect to the art and culture prelims examination, art and culture prelims, and art and culture GS paper number 1 also will take this question. Guys, first of all, let's see what the article is talking about, and with this we will also see that how this particular thing could be used. There was a particular kind of there is a particular question which actually has kept. Okay sir, what is your initiative? This is the initiative that you are seeing. Okay, now what has happened? So now Purana Kila is a monument in Delhi, and the Purana Kila monument of Delhi, it was built by Sher Shah Suri and Mughal Emperor Humayun. Fine, so built and upgradations was done by them. Now when we talk about the Purana Killa, so in the Purana Killa premises there are certain excavations that has been done, and as these excavations have been done into the Purana Killa premises, many of the artifacts, many of the remains from the pre-Mauryan period, from the Gupta period and Kushan period, Shunga period, they have been found. And understand this particular thing. Suppose this is the Purana Killa premises, and in this Purana Killa premises this excavation is going on, and layer by layer, different ages remains, artifacts, coins, etc., they are being found. This particular thing demonstrates that this particular region of Delhi was continuously habitated by first generation, another generation. Now understand this thing. There are certain locations. What happens, suppose this particular location was habitated by one dynasty, then let's say for 200 years no dynasty came, then after let's say 300 years again one dynasty came, they started their empire there, then let's say 400 years again there was a break, no dynasty came there. Okay, but when we talk about the Delhi, in Delhi there have been the continuous habitation by the different dynasties, different empires. Okay, so moreover guys, understand this particular thing, that it has also been said that the Purana Killa and this particular region is at the same place where the Indraprastha was there in the old times. So you might have seen the mention of the Indraprastha in the Mahabharata. So the Indraprastha place is actually the place where this particular Indraprastha is where this Purana Killa is, Indraprastha was also located there. I hope you understood it. Now let's understand that what remains, what artifacts have been found here. Number one, so now there are the excavations that have been done which have found the painted grey ware pottery, and this pottery is around 1200 BC of to 600 BC's period. Okay, now Purana Killa can also be one site where one of a G20 summit meet will also happen. So G20 is right now being led by the India, and the G20 summit will held in the September. So G20 delegates might also come here. Now when we talk about guys the Purana Killa, so important things that have been found, 900-year-old Vaikunt Vishnu from the Rajput period has been found here. Then after that we see this particular thing, that a terracotta plaque. Okay, plaque basically, for example, basically a kind of a seal or an insignia. Find a terracotta plaque, find it of goddess Gaj Lakshmi. Goddess Gaj Lakshmi's terracotta plaque has also been found, and this is from Gupta period. Now see, Vaikunt Vishnu from Rajput period, terracotta plaque of goddess Gaj Lakshmi from the Gupta period. Then there is also the remains of a 2500-year-old ring well. Okay, ring well, fine. So okay, so ring well, 2500-year-old ring well remains have also been found, and this is from the Mauryan period. After that there was also the structure, and the structure was of a four-room complex structure has also been found, and it was from the Shunga Kushan period. After that there are many beads, seals, copper coin, bone needles, they have been found. Around 136 coins, 35 seals have been discovered, and these seals, coins, terracottas, they are from pre-Mauryan period, Shunga, Kushan, Gupta, post-Gupta, Rajput, Sultanate, and even till Mughals, and after the Mughals, British also came and they made Delhi as a center of their power. So basically what we see, that the history of Delhi is not broken. The history of Delhi is continuous. This particular region has always been occupied by one or the other civilization. Now exactly this type of question has already been asked into the mains examination, that the Indian subcontinent has faced a continuous history. It has not been broken. Fine, this kind of a question was already asked, I think in 2014 15 or 2014 or 15. Okay, so these kind of things guys, these kind of examples can be used to back our answers. So that is all about it, and I hope you understood it. Now moving to the next article, using Buddhism as a tool of soft power. Now let's discuss this particular article. Basically guys, understand this particular thing. First of all, this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2. Okay, India's soft power vehicles. Now let me tell you first of all a particular concept. What is power? What is power? So power is one's ability to influence the behavior or action of other. That is power. One's ability to influence the behavior or action of other is power. Power can be of three types. There can be the hard power. You can influence other person's behavior by keeping a head on his gun. There can be economic power. You can influence another person by giving him a lot of money, economic power. And then there is a soft power. Soft power is influencing another person because you hold a distinct aura, because you hold a distinct attraction. Okay, you hold a command in the followers. Now guys, you see today basically that many people, they have a very loyal following, okay, fine, and a very deep bond is there. So these people have, let's say, a kind of a soft power. Now when we talk about, guys, a soft power has become very much crucial today in the geopolitics. Why? Because fighting war has become really costly. Hard power, fine, is not very much effective today. Russia tried to use the hard power against the Ukraine, but more than 1.5 years has happened, but the Russia-Ukraine war is not in sight. When Russia, such a big country, is not able to win against Ukraine, such a small country, we know that the hard power today is meaningless, not that much important. So soft power is something which is becoming geopolitically important, and every countries want to champion this soft power. Now India and China want to portray their soft power. They want to attract the different countries, and in this, religion, your culture, your diversity, or are the constituents of the soft power. Now Buddhism as a constituent of soft power is being discussed here in this particular article. Now understand this thing. India, we know this particular thing, that the genesis of Buddhism, Jainism happened from India only, and the Sanatan Dharma of Hinduism anyhow is the religion of India again. So basically, as Buddhism got genesis in India, India wants to promote this particular thing onto the international stage and want to attract the countries which have a substantial number of the Buddhist population. Now when we talk about, guys, India, Buddhism actually provided an identity of peace, tranquility during the period of violence that was going on. Okay, Buddhism always based on the ethical doctrines of peace. Find the Dhamma, okay, is based on to the moral code of conduct. Okay, so Buddhism provides an identity of peace. Now guys, understand this thing. When we talk about the Buddhism, even the King Ashoka provided evidence of the life and teaching of the Buddha. Okay, and in this particular capacity, guys, what has happened, we have tried to promote this Buddhism again and again. Recently, India has convened the Global Buddhist Summit, and in this Global Buddhist Summit that we have taken up, we have tried to promote the Tibetan Buddhism. And here the Tibetan Buddhism. Now Tibetan Buddhism is linked with the Dalai Lama. Now understand this particular thing. China doesn't take this particular thing positively. Why? Because, guys, we see this thing that the Tibet was forcefully made the part of the China. And at that point of a time, a large number of Tibetans and even the Dalai Lama at that point of a time, they entered in India and they got the refuge in India. China believes that the Dalai Lama is not the true representative of the Tibetan Buddhism, and China believes that the Dalai Lama is one who wants to promote the feeling of a secessionism in the Tibet region of the China, which is now in the China. Okay, so whenever we try to propagate any conference on Tibetan Buddhism, China becomes frustrated because China believes that Tibetan Buddhism, China should be taking an initiative on that. And when we honor Dalai Lama, we invite Dalai Lama to the Northeast, China becomes very much irritated this thing. Now this particular Global Buddhist Summit that was held, we promoted the Tibetan Buddhism. There was no Nepal's representative there. Now understand this thing. Nepal, guys, also is basically Nepal also was very much important with respect to the Buddha's life. So Nepal also claims their credentials on the Buddhism. Okay, now understand this particular thing, that this Buddhist summit, it was hosted by the International Buddhist Confederation. Okay, it is the organization based in India. Okay, and the Supreme Dhamma Council of Nepal, their leader were not invited here. Okay, even the nobody from Bhutan. Now Bhutan is a Buddhist nation. Representatives from Bhutan from also not invited. Now see this thing. within the Buddhism, there are the different branches that are going out. One is the Tibetan Buddhism, then there is another faction of the Nepal Buddhism, then the Bhutanese Buddhism has a little bit of a different flair that is there. Okay, now guys, one more thing that guys India is doing, we are promoting Tibetan Buddhism, and then we are also trying to get connected with the Buddhism in Nepal. And in this capacity, India International Center for Buddhist Culture and Heritage is also coming up in the Lumbini, Nepal. Okay, we are fine, we are better, we are sponsoring it, but there is one problem that up till now the construction has not begun. Now the question comes that why India is going in Nepal and is constructing this India International Center for Buddhism. It is because guys that already the Gautam Buddha International Airport in the Nepal has been inaugurated, and India says that it is a Chinese project. It was financed by the Asian Development Bank, constructed by the Chinese contractor, and at the end of that it is a Chinese project. Fine. Now when we talk about the China guys, China is home to 245 million Buddhist people, 28,000 Buddhist monasteries are there, 16,000 temples are there, fine, Buddhist monks, nuns, all of them are there. And the China also wants to use Buddhism as a soft power tool. And in this particular direction they are taking up these particular initiatives. Okay, now when we talk about guys the China, it is doing this thing. Now the China wants to promote Buddhism, but China also needs another partner countries. And which is the partner country that China has taken? It has taken Nepal rather than the India. Why? Because already the confrontations between the China and India has increased, so Nepal has been chosen as a partner. Now Nepal is being patronized by China, and at the same time India wants to patronize the Nepal, so that the Nepal becomes an ally of India in the propagation of the Buddhism. Okay, so both the countries are fighting for the Nepal, and therefore the infrastructure investments into the Nepal, particularly for the Buddhist projects, is going on. Okay, now there is also a rumor that the China will send 5 million Buddhist pilgrimages to Nepal, and will also be establishing hotels and businesses. Okay, and then India, here we see India has said that we are also going to develop international center for Buddhist culture and heritage. So basically it has been said that both the countries they want that the Nepal should be aligned with them for the Buddhist propagation. So it has been said that this geopolitical dispute will turn Nepal into a Buddhist Disneyland. Both countries will come out with their project, both countries will do the investment for upgradation of Buddhist infrastructure in Nepal. Nepal will get a lot of benefit out of it. Okay, so Nepal is having a joyride here. So that is all about this article. I hope you have understood it. And now we'll move to the next article. Unboxing the export turnaround in India's toy story. Okay, so guys, if you can recall what happened just 2 years, around 3 years back in 2020 to be very precise, the Prime Minister gave a call that as the part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, we need to develop the Atmanirbharta in the toy industry. He emphasized this thing that India has such rich culture of mythologies, folk tales. We have regional superheroes, even fine, in every region's folk stories, folk lores. You will have some superheroes that come from time to time. Then we have such rich mythologies, and in mythologies the gods. Okay, we now basically there is so much of the inspiration, fine, on whom's line the toys could be created, toys could be made. But what has, moreover, at the same time, we have almost the largest share of the children population in India. Okay, so for these children, the toys that we are using, these are largely the imported toys, cheap plastic made Chinese toys. So the Prime Minister made a call that the toy industry needs to be made as an Atmanirbhar. Fine, so this push was given. Okay, and we are going to discuss this theme now. So this article will be important for GS paper number 3. Okay, issues related to the economy. Now understand guys that when we talk about the India, now India has turned into the net exporter of toys during 2021 to 21-22. Fine, India has focused a lot on increasing the share of the exports, and according to the official data, between 2018-19 and 21-22, toy exports have increased to $177 million. And as we have become the net exporter of the toys, it is being said as a success of the Make in India initiative. initiative which was launched in 2014. Make in India wants to promote the share of manufacturing sector to 25%. Okay, in Indian GDP, in the GDP of India, 25% of share should come from manufacturing sector. This is the goal of the Make in India, started in 2014, and it is a success of Make in India that government is saying that the toy industry has able to become a net exporter. Earlier we were importer. So if we talk about, guys, the imports, earlier they accounted 80% of the domestic toys, 80% of domestic sale of the toys, they used to come up from the import. Okay, now why this particular turnaround has happened into the toy? So the article explains that basically this has happened because the import share got contracted substantially. How? It is being said that the government, they have increased the basic custom duty to 60% in 2020. Earlier it was around 20%, but it got tripled. 60% custom duty is being imposed onto the toys that are imported. Because of that, they are becoming very much expensive, and because of that, the share of the imported toys is going down. After that, it is said that non-tariff barriers have also been imposed onto the toys, so it has become very much difficult to import the toys in India. There are safety regulation codes, registration orders, all these things, so import contraction has happened. So basically India's toys exports increased not because the toys have become very good quality, there is a lot of innovation that has come, toys are of very good quality, rather because of the import contraction that has happened. It has helped. It is welcome, but it is premature to claim that the policies are successful. We need to ensure that our exports rise even without the protectionism. We need to innovate. We need to work on the quality of the toys. Okay, we need to have those kind of toys which can ignite the innovation in the child's imaginative powers of the children. Such kind of toys needs to be promoted. Okay, this is all, guys, about this particular article. Now moving to the next article. Hardening interest rates, geopolitical risk impacting FDI flows, DPIIT secretary. Okay, so DPIIT stands for Department, it stands for the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Now basically, guys, the foreign direct investments, when we talk about India 3-4 years back was one of the biggest recipient of the foreign direct investments. Now right now the foreign direct investments have actually been contracted. Why? What are the reasons? Reasons are very obvious. Global inflation is very much high. The developed countries have increased their interest rate, and as the developed countries have increased the interest rate, for investors it is more attractive that they invest into the developed countries debt instruments. They are not coming and bringing their investment in the countries such as India. Then the very big problem is the geopolitical risk right now that is going on with the Russia-Ukraine war, and investing in another country has become very risky now because of this uncertainty. So because of that, the FDI inflows have been reduced. Now when we talk about, guys, the FDI flows, fine. Now the 5 important sectors are there which have attracted a lot of FDI. That is computer hardware, software, construction, education, automobiles, and metallurgical industries. These industries have attracted a lot of FDI, but the FDI has reduced here, and FDI equity inflows, they declined by 22%, and there was just $46 billion of FDI that came in 22-23. And the January-March quarter of this year also, in this quarter also, the FDI has been plunged, reduced by 40.5%. When we compare this year's January-March quarter to the previous year's January-March quarter, 40% decline has been there. Just $9.28 billion of FDI was received. So FDI is going down, and guys, we expect that it is an issue because of the global uncertainty that is there, and it might get recovered into the times to come. Okay. Government drops plan to host SCO summit in Delhi. It will now be in virtual format. So basically, guys, 2023, India is hosting G20. India is also hosting the SCO, that is a Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Shanghai Cooperation Organization is a Eurasian Union in which we have the countries such as China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and India is also there. The summit was to be hosted in 2023 in India. Now what has happened, last moment, just 1 month before the summit, India has announced that now this particular summit will be held in virtual format, not in person format. Earlier, the leaders of this particular country, they were about to come here, but now it will be held into the virtual format. Now, when we talk about the SCO, guys, some important facts. Turkmenistan is not a full-fledged permanent member of SCO, but it is a permanent invitee. Then the Iran and Belarus are also now joining the SCO, and right now they have been given the observer status. Okay, so Iran, Belarus, and Mongolia also have been given the status as the observer states, and they are also being invited, but into the virtual format. Not being invited to the not being invited to the in the person format. Now the question comes that why India has cancelled the SCO's in person meet. Now there can be many reasons for this particular thing, though government has not given any answer. Now guys, it is because that there is the differences between the China and Pakistan have increased a lot. Moreover, right now the Russia is also occupied with the Russia-Ukraine war, and right now the entire West is not very much accommodative of the Russia and India friendship. Maybe to avoid that particular ire, India is not inviting the Russia and China at the same time in India. That could be the reason. That could also be the reason because of the confrontations between the India and China that has increased. Fine, so many reasons could be there. India has not given any particular reason that why they have not invited it. Okay, now moving to the next article. Okay, that is the main practice question for today. India turning a net exporter of toy is mainly due to rising protectionism and less on account of expanding domestic capabilities. In this context, discuss how India needs to examine the ground reality of industrial location and cluster to tailor policies and institutions to nurture toy industries. This is a little bit a question on the difficult side, but try to think. The wording you might find difficult, but actually the question is very simple, asking a very simple thing. Try to write it, and guys, you can write your question answers and can give it on our peer writing Telegram group. Okay, I will share that particular link. Okay, it is a peer reviewed group, means the people, they write answers and they review each other's answer. Okay, and please participate, guys, because when you will be participating, you will be able to submit your answers, and then there will also be the other question, others one that you will be when you will see the others ones, then also you will get a lot of inputs. Okay, fine. So guys, I hope that you have understood this particular article. Okay, now guys, okay, there is one question, just a minute. Sir, explain audit data standardization. Pratibha, see, audit data standardization is a particular way in which the audit is to be done. Okay, so as for example, when we talk about the CAG carries the audit of the different organizations. For example, for the government, a lot of audit is done by the CAG. So the format in which that particular data will be compiled, that data will be presented, that is the data standardization norms. But you are not required to go too much in detail for UPSC exam for such kind of a thing. Okay, so that is about it. Okay sir, how to start answer writing? Okay, first of all, don't write vague answers right now. Try to write answers only on those themes which you have a little bit of information. So for example, the topics that we are discussing, on that only we try to give question. Okay, so that is all guys about the session. I hope that you have understood it. With this, we come to an end to the today's session. Guys, if you have liked the video, do consider hitting a like button and leaving a lovely comment. It will help us to further improve on our content.